Good evening, good night, good morning, wherever you may be watching this transmission. Tis I, Mike Martins. And today I got a really interesting story for you guys. I want to thank everyone for subscribing. Guys, if you want to support this transmission, support the channel or the cause, just share a video. That's all I'm asking. Share a video. You see a video you like of mine, share it. It doesn't have to be this one. It could be any video out there. Share it. Get it out there. Let's stick it to the big guy. You know what I'm saying? Okay, guys, I got a Douglas Todd article. Really important article. Looks like it's ready for termination because the video has been taken down. And I want to ask you guys, what is the visible minority in your city, or is it the visible majority? Who's become what and who and how? This is a very interesting. This was written actually in 2017. Had a friend come back from the coast today. So he came back from the coast on Friday. Came to visit me at the shop on Saturday. Had to go to Vancouver to do something, and everybody that lives up here hates going to the coast. Had to go to Vancouver to get something done, and he said it's unidentifiable. No one's speaking English. It's horrible, and it's just turning into something else, right? So Douglas Todd brought up this article, and I have a second article that I bring up here quite a few times, and I kind of want to create a discussion piece with this, guys, and I want to know what you guys' opinions are on this. Douglas Todd, visible minority now meaningless to the term in Metro Vancouver and Toronto. So these are two major cities, the two biggest cities in Canada. And let's see what they have to say. New Canadian census data reveals that the term visible minority has become virtually meaningless across Metro Vancouver, where the whites have become the minority by a slight degree. The region's 5 largest municipalities now have significantly fewer whites than people of color, which means Caucasian are visible minority, in Richmond, Surrey, Burnaby, Coquitlam, and the city of Vancouver. The 2016 Canadian Census data on ethnicity and immigration released Wednesday also shows the foreign-born population of Metro Vancouver has risen to 44%, led by people from China. The fastest-growing cohort of foreign-born residents in Canada, meanwhile, is made up of international students. So remember that whole international student thing that we had? And I'll bring it up here so we could all be on the same page, because I don't expect everybody to remember every video I did. This one here. This article here. Canada wants more Chinese worker students and tourists, says, and they're pumping it and creating fast track offices to fast track more. Canada's in competition to get more wealthy Chinese. So they're looking at about 500,000 people per year, and they're trying to push it to 650,000 Chinese per year to come in. It's a lucrative business for Canada to bring in wealthy Chinese, and that's what is going on. And there is the article there. Okay. So all across Canada, foreign-born population hit 22% in 2016. That's the highest proportion of foreign-born residents in Canada since 1921, when most immigrants came from Europe. Now, 62% of immigrants hail from Asia. However, regional differences are crucial to understanding the story of immigration in Canada, which, along with Australia, takes in the world's highest per capita rate of newcomers. The census show almost 2 of 3 immigrants to Canada moved to Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, even while there has been the modest shift in the past 5 years to the prairies. So it's the small towns and the prairies, the Farmville or all those places there. Farmville. In Metro Vancouver and other Canadian cities, the dramatic rise of both foreign-born raised residents and the expansion of various ethnic groups has had political implications. Even though federal immigration policies developed on a national basis, the fact most immigrants choose the country's biggest cities creates local infrastructure challenges, particularly in regards to the jobs, English as a second language programs, transit use, and rent and housing. Various students have shown immigrants are increasingly struggling financial and learning English or French, while tending to use the urban transit more than domestic-born residents and buying houses at higher rates than the Canadian-born. Meanwhile, rapidly rising cohort of foreign students rely heavily on rental housing. While Mayors complain of having no influence over the federal government, immigration policies. Those issues have become especially significant for Metro Vancouver, along with Toronto, which now have arguably the highest percentage of foreign-born residents in any major highest percentage of foreign-born residents of any major cities in the world. So let's open this one up. Here's a link to another article. I'm kind of interested to see it. Vancouver fourth for foreign-born residents, but it's not. But is it cosmopolitan? So, how cosmopolitan is Vancouver? If we define cosmopolitan as including people from different countries, Metro Vancouver is the fourth most cosmopolitan major city on the planet. More than 45% of Metro Vancouver residents are foreign-born, according to the 2011 census. There are only 3 major cities on the globe with higher percentage of foreign-born residents. They are Dubai, Brussels, and Toronto. Toronto is Canada too. Of the 406 urban regions in the world with more than 1 million people, Metro Vancouver is a leader in modern-day experiment in mass migration. Indeed, in most of the big cities around the planet, such as Beijing, Manila, Seoul, Mumbai, the percentage of foreign-born residents is tiny, less than 3%. Yeah, it's very tough. I think it's in Korea, China. I don't know if about Mumbai, but Korea and China, it's very tough to have a baby there or to purchase any property. I think even in Philippines too, a person like myself as a foreigner, I don't think I could buy in Philippines too. I think they're like a lot of these countries are really like Thailand too. It's very a shut down country where you can't really buy or they kind of don't want you there type of thing. I noticed that they want tourism, but they don't want people to overstay. Before exploring whether Metro Vancouver is truly cosmopolitan city in light of such demographics, let's compare it to 3 cities with the most foreign-born residents. In Dubai, a port city of the United Arab Emirates fueled by oil and gas industry, the proportion of foreign-born residents is an outstanding 80%. But the vast majority of recent arrivals to Dubai are temporary foreign workers from India and Pakistan, who, unlike in Canada, will never be offered citizenship. So it's very tough to get citizenship in those countries. Indeed, the strong majority of foreigners in Dubai are men. Many earn low wages in construction and live in workers' camps, some of which have been subject to human rights complaints. The situation regarding 62% of foreign-born residents of Brussels, Belgium, also diverges from Metro Vancouver. Brussels is the capital of the European Union. Roughly half its foreign-born residents are EU staff from other countries in Europe, particularly France. They are not seeking Belgian passports. Other contingent of Brussels foreign-born residents is from Turkey. Toronto, not surprisingly, is the city most like Vancouver in terms of an incredible range of origins of its foreign-born, and most are immigrants who obtain Canadian passports. 49% of Metro Toronto residents were born outside of the country, like in Vancouver. The largest contingents come from China, India, and the Philippines, plus scores of other nations. The diversity differences between the 2 fast-growing Canadian cities are minor. Toronto, for instance, has more people from the Caribbean and Middle East. Vancouver has a higher percentage from China. So what do these foreign-born demographics say about whether Vancouver is cosmopolitan? A second Oxford definition of cosmopolitan does more than simply rank proportions of foreign-born residents. It focuses on character. The Oxford describes a person or place as cosmopolitan when it is at ease in many different cultures and has an exciting character associated with the travel and mixture of cultures. Given this more expensive definition, Metro Vancouver is at least somewhat cosmopolitan, but to me, it's a question of degrees. I would name many other cities, some of much smaller proportions of foreign-born residents that are probably more cosmopolitan than Vancouver. I would argue residents of Paris, Tokyo, London, Berlin, and New York possibly Montreal, and many other cities are more cosmopolitan, at ease in many countries than most people in Vancouver. I think Toronto, for example, in New York, I think they still have a little Greek area. They still have a little Portuguese area, a little Italian area, a little Italy. I think they still have those towns, right? So you could see that being more cosmopolitan in that way. I won't be offended if anyone disagrees with this assessment, which is highly subjective. But these famous cities, by and large, have developed characters that are more exciting, as in sophisticated, urban, globally engaged, that has this West Coast city. Compared to Vancouver, cities such as Paris, Berlin are bigger, which have a richer history and have done more culturally, educationally, philosophically, and artistically to mix the cultures they do contain. Indeed, Metro Vancouver has been criticized for having too many ethnic languages enclaves where cultural groups tend to stick close to one another. And the vast majority of foreign-born residents in Vancouver come from source countries that are relatively homogenous. The major cities of China, India, and the Philippines are virtually empty of foreign-born residents, which would, by definition, render them quite non-cosmopolitan. Although there are many expectations, most foreign-born newcomers to Vancouver and Toronto come face-to-face with the challenge of developing ease in many different cultures only after they arrive in Canada. So, in all, I'd say there is a more precise word for Vancouver and Toronto than cosmopolitan. It's a technical term. Geographers use to describe big cities in which more than 10% of the residents are foreign-born. No one group dominates the immigrant stock, and newcomers arrive from all regions of the world. The world is hyper-diverse. So let me know if you've heard that. So here you go. You got some graphs here. May 2018. Hong Kong immigrants streamed out of Canada. 10 major cities of cosmopolitan reputations. San Francisco. Yeah, San Francisco. I've been there many times. It's got a little Italy. It's got a small Chinatown. It's got Fisherman's Wharf. Yeah. A lot of Portuguese there, too. I didn't see too many Germans or any of that. I did see quite a bit of a mix of everybody, you know. So Vancouver has the fourth most foreign-born residents in any major city. Most immigrants to Vancouver, however, come from monoculture cities. So there's cities that don't have a cosmopolitan in them. Their countries is only like, we prefer our own people. We kind of don't want foreigners in our country. And let's move on. So this ties into this, and I've been following this forever. Douglas Todd, Aboriginals and Whites leaving Metro Vancouver. So this ties back to this article where whites are no longer a majority in several major Canadian cities. So you're seeing this huge difference. It's this huge change, cultural change. And a lot of people need to understand, and I've said it before in other videos, what makes Germany, Germany? What makes Portugal, Portugal? What makes Australia, Australia? What makes Brazil, Brazil? What makes these countries what they are? It's very simple, and I'll tell you what makes these countries and what they are. It's the people that living there. The people that are living there are Portuguese, and that's why it's called Portugal. The Google Maps didn't decide to throw a border up there because a lot of millennials now think that, not millennials, but these Generation X's or the snowflakes or whatever they're from, think that Google Maps created the borders now. No, it's actually created by the people living there. So Catalonia is a good example. Catalonia wants to secede from Spain because they speak Catalonian. They're a different culture. They're a different everything, and they want to be represented as their own country, right? Australia is Australia because the people, I don't know now, but the people that live there were Australian, and that's what makes Australia. Brazil is Brazil because when the Portuguese went there in the 1500s, in the early 1500s, you know, they brought their culture over and kind of embedded the language and religion and all that stuff. But Brazil is Brazil because the people that live there are Brazilian. Now, what happens to parts of Canada where there's huge pockets of let's say Chinese, or let's say Russian or German? How does that work? Does that portion become an autonomous region of Russia or China or Germany? You know, if a whole province becomes 90%, which it's the way it's heading, 90%, let's say Chinese, does that province become an autonomous region of China because there's no longer Canadians living in there? So Canadians are what make up Canada, right? The Indian people are what make up the country of India, right? So Japan, it's called Japan because the people that live there are Japanese. So people need to understand that. So Aboriginals and whites leaving Metro Vancouver in huge numbers. So I read this before. I'll read it again. A net total of 9,345 whites and 460 Indigenous people left Metro Vancouver for other parts of the province in a one-year period ending July 2016. I'd like to know what happened in 2017 and 2018 if the numbers are out there, according to newly released Statistics Canada data. So this is just Canada the data. This is what they think. There's more than that. This is what they caught. Imagine what they didn't catch. And it's becoming very different. These cities are becoming very different very fast. And I don't understand why and how we are pushing for huge change. And this article sums it all up. Canada wants more Chinese workers, students, and tourists, says Immigration Minister. So, and it kind of hurts the country in a way, because then we can't afford to buy our own houses. Remember that article I read for you guys, how the Vancouver condos were for sale in China, in Beijing. They unveiled the condo sales. So you have to fly to Beijing to buy a condo in Vancouver, because the people in Canada can't even afford to buy their own condos, and they were laughing and making fun of us. And then they apologized for it after. I'm like, whatever, you apologize because you got caught. But anyways, let me know. They're apologizing for getting caught. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. What is happening? That's why a lot of people, especially Europeans, are looking at the exits to get the heck out of here. Me, my family, same thing. We are looking at the exit because if things start to get worse, we have to find a way to raise our family somewhere else, because I think things are going to get a lot worse before they get any better. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what is the visible minority in your country. Comment below. I'm in Penal Colony, PC Colony. Penal Colony 111 is Canada. Penal Colony 1112 is the United States. Penal Colony 1113 is the UK. Penal Colony 1114 is Australia. Penal Colony 1115. So when you address yourself in the comments, please respectfully let me know what penal colony you are. So you put PC-0001 from Canada. So let me know where you're from. And let me know what the visible minority in your area is and what the majority is in your area. I'd like to know. Thanks for watching, because this is going to culturally change the country that we knew and grew up in. So am I a racist for not wanting to change my country, or not wanting to change, but changing it in a way that's unpredictable? Put it that way. I love all you guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and have a great day.